G'day YouTube, I am the DAF and welcome to a very quick Java tutorial. This tutorial is about arrays. In this video I'm going to assume you understand what an array is, and I will not be explaining what it is or how they work. In Java, arrays are very simple. For example, this is how you declare an array. And that's not where I want to be typing. I want to go int. Now, you have to make sure you've got square brackets, because if you don't have the square brackets, it's just going to be declaring an integer. And then you just set the name into example in this case. Make sure you keep the semicolon, and that will be a declaration. This is my first time using this pad for this sort of thing, so I'm still getting used to it myself. Now that's your declaration. You also have to initialize it, so you go int, keep the same name as you set before, and that is equal to a new integer array. And I don't know what I just did there. Let's just close that. Yes, learning new programs, everyone's. And we'll initialize it at 10 elements, for example. And don't forget the semicolon. And this will be your initialization. Don't want to make an ass of myself by not knowing English. Now, that's the most basic stuff, and over here I can show you. Here's an example using that. So here you see you got your declaration and you have your initialization, but we also want to be setting a value. So if we go over here and go int example, now in these square brackets we want to call up the element, the particular place in the array. If you want to call the very first number, you put a 0, because it's just the way they work, and I won't be explaining why, because in this video, as I said, I'm assuming that you understand what this is. This is just an example on how to use it in Java, for example, if you know in a different language but you don't know how to do it in Java. So you go int example element 0, or the very first element, is equal to 1, and that's how we set that. Similarly, if you were to do int example 1, and you could set that to 2, and that will set the very second element to 2. So if we go back to the code I have here, we've set it to 1, and if we want to call that code, for example printing out into the line, we can use a simple system.out.println, and then you just call int example, and then in the square brackets you put the number of the position of the element you want to call. In this case, we've only initialized the very first element in the array, so we're going to call element 0, and that is going to print out 1 in theory. So if I were to open up command prompt, navigate to where it's saved, and in my case it's just saved to the desktop for now, and just compile it. Compiles. Now we just want to run the program. You see here it's going to print out 1, and that's what we expect. Now if, say, you wanted to set, initialize, declare, initialize, and set the values all in one line, that can be done simply by doing the following. So you go int, remember it's all lowercase, int array, int, in this case we're going to call it example 2 is equal to. Now instead we're going to add at the end of here and use curly brackets, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separated by commas. Don't forget the semicolon. And that is going to initialize an integer array called int example 2 with 5 elements that are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, starting at 0 going to 4. And so over here I have another example. If we go to example2.java, we see that line that we've just done, and I've got, instead of just 1, I've got 5 system.out lines. This probably want to comment out for now, just because that's what I'm going to talk about next. And if we compile and run that code, so if I go, what is it, javac example 2.java, it's going to compile, and we go java example 2, is going to print out 1 through to 5, and that's what we expect. Now, with this extra line here, the very simple basis of arrays is you have 5, in here we have 5 elements. We don't want to try and core more than that because we're going to get an array out of bounds exception. So if I take this out and now I compile that and run it, it's going to work, and I ran the wrong one. We want to that. It's going to print out 1 to 5, but then we're going to get an array out of bounds exception because we tried to core int example 2 place 5, but there's only 5 elements and the count starts at 0 and goes to 4 for 5. Similarly for 10 it would go from 0 to 9 and whatever amount you set. Now, I hope this has helped everyone if you've just wanted the basis for arrays. I'm going to be uploading all the source code I have, so if you want to just copy or use it wherever you want, I don't care. That will be in the description. Now, please feel free to post a comment of your problem or request for another video, as I do have a lot planned, but I just need to actually get around to doing them. And I will try my best to fulfill your wishes. For now, I've been the DAF, and until next time, goodbye.